It's insane. The S23 Ultra has already been out for a month. How is that even possible? Like, the time has just gone by so fast. So I want to talk about my thoughts on this phone after using it for a month. I've been daily driving it, had my SIM card in it, attached at the hip, using it nonstop, and I'm going to unlock the mysteries of the universe for you on this phone. So I like this phone a lot. You can probably tell by the amount of videos that I've made because it's exciting, it's fun, it's the best Android smartphone that I think you can buy right now. And in fact, I've said this before, I think it's the best Samsung phone they've ever made. And they've done so many good things here. And initially, I was very, very reserved and tempered in my expectations for this phone because we hear the promises every year. Every year we hear the promises. This new chip is going to change everything. It's going to be so much better, so much more fast, and so much more powerful, and so much better battery life. And when it came to the S22 Ultra, that really wasn't very true. I mean, it was very powerful, but it really didn't give us any battery savings, and really it had a lot of problems with the software and the throttling, and yeah, it just was not what I think most people expected when it came to what we were really expecting with the phone. So when it came to the S23 Ultra, and they talked about this new Snapdragon 8 Generation 2, I didn't buy into it very much until I got one phone. And yes, a OnePlus phone is going to make an appearance in this video. This phone, the OnePlus 11, I actually got this phone several weeks before I got the S23 Ultra, and I got to experience the Snapdragon 8 Generation 2. And I fell in love with it. I'm like, man, this is great. This is the best OnePlus phone I've used in basically for forever. I love the OnePlus 11, by the way. And when it comes to the S23 Ultra, I was really excited because I was like, yes, we're finally going to actually realize these cool savings in the battery life. It's actually going to last more than 4.5 or 5 hours of screen on time. It's not going to be overheating as much. It's going to be better for gameplay. It's going to be beautiful. And I mean, the colors I think are mostly good. It was really surprising to me on pre-order just how many colors there were available. I got the lavender color, which I think is their fancy name for just saying pink because it's basically just straight up a pink phone. But having used it for a month, battery life has been exceptional. I think probably the best battery life I've ever gotten out of a flagship Samsung phone, flagship Android phone, period. Android historically is not good with battery life. And coming over and using other phones like the iPhone 13 Pro this last year, which was just killing it in battery life. I mean, there were days I would get 10 hours of screen on time, and then I would use my S22 Ultra and I would get like 5 hours, 4.5 hours of screen on time and be looking for a charger. So they did a lot of things right here, and I'm actually not upset. They didn't really change the form factor. I mean, they changed it subtly around the sides. I mean, we've got this more boxy appearance, less aggressive looking when it comes to like the curve and the rounded corners. So I know that made some people happy. But by and large, the phones look nearly identical. If you hold them up back to back and go, okay, here's the S22 Ultra, here's the S23 Ultra. Nothing revolutionary there. So what really counted was what they did on the inside. And I've said this before, it's like the old S series when it comes to the iPhone. You remember the iPhone 5S, the iPhone 6S, where we would get a alternating year upgrade, but really it was more emphasis on the software and more emphasis on the camera and the internals. So the jury's still out on the 200 megapixel camera. And I know that the 108 was just really fine tuned. We've been using it for a while. Samsung was good at programming and optimizing for it. We've got a new image signal processor. We've got a new camera. We got a new chip. So what I can tell you is this camera and this setup, I believe, will be better than the previous generation's 128 as we get more optimization, as we get more tuning. There's supposed to be a camera update from what I know coming out at the end of the month that's going to bring some more optimization. I mean, there's definitely some shutter lag. There's definitely some delays, especially if you try and shoot like a 200 megapixel low light photo. Let me show you something real quick. And there I go with the Fire Marshal Bill reference again. Let me show you something. If you ever watched In Living Color with Jim Carrey and saw the Fire Marshal Bill skit, it was probably one of the most funny things I loved when I was a kid. So let me go ahead and I'm going to put this on 200 megapixels. So 200 megapixel camera. Look at that shutter lag and the delay when you're taking a photo, right? And heaven forbid you want to take anything quickly. You're not going to get there. And then whenever you take that into the low light setting, it really adds some processing and some delay time there. So there are definitely some things they need to get worked out. I mean, this is just the traditional regular 3x4 format. I mean, it's much, much, much better there. And I think we'll see some more optimizations. I think we'll see some more fine tuning to the HDR, which will give us some better stuff when it comes to the whites and the blacks and the blowouts and the backgrounds and things like that. So I think that it's going to get better. And that's what I had to say about the S22 Ultra. A year later, it was a much better phone. And a lot of these companies, they put these phones out. It's not so much that it's a beta product, but there's only so much. Like you get this surface level understanding of something when you get it, and then as you dive into it, you use it more, you optimize for it, it gets better. So the S23 Ultra is going to be an even better phone a year from now than it is now, and that's a great thing for a lot of people because a lot of folks don't go out and buy these on day one. They wait for the sales. They wait till a year later where they can get it free from their carrier. So there's a lot of longevity when you talk about the lifespan and customer expectations and customer experience when it comes to these phones. So $11.99, very expensive phone. Hey, at least here in the US, it's $11.99. The price didn't go up. We actually got more storage. So that's great because, of course, you could already record 8K video if you even cared about that. And I don't get wrapped around the axle about 8K video. I really don't. If you're shooting 8K video, I mean, really cool. I'm happy for you. You can do it with this phone. You've been able to do it with this phone for years, but now you can do it 8K at 30 frames per second, which some people say is big noticeably better. I mean, we're even going to watch 8K video, right? So the moral of the story there is a lot of people will crop that down, and then you'll get like a higher quality, more enriched 4K video. So there is some merit to it. I don't record in that, but whenever you're shooting 8K video, it shoots at like 600 megabytes of video per minute. So if you shoot a 10-minute video, that's 6 gigabyte file size, basically minimum. And that was at 24 frames per second. So you need storage space, right? Especially when you're talking about a 200 megapixel camera. If you want to export that in RAW, good gosh, those are some huge file sizes when it comes to a photo. So you need more storage, especially whenever they don't give you the SD card. You can't put an SD card in this sucker. It's all locked in. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit, right? Or you do, because we're consumers. We always throw fits. We're tech people. So more storage space, that's good. I hope that Apple follows suit and they add more space because it's so cheap. These companies have been lying to you and ripping you off for years. Say, oh, it's an extra $100 if you want to double your storage. It costs them like $2. And then they're making a 98% windfall on their profit margins. So don't ever buy into that. They're like, oh, well, it costs this much for storage. Well, it does because you're screwing me. But in reality, no, it doesn't cost that much. So the 256 baseline is good. When I pre-ordered mine, I actually got the double the storage upgrade. I got 512. I'm really happy I got 512. And that's when it comes to pre-ordering, there's a lot of incentives. And even lately, they've had still the sales and the incentives to where you could double the storage, at least with Samsung. So I would have to verify that and see if it's still there. But the phone itself, better storage, better battery life, beautiful screen. Best looking screen in any phone that I think I've probably ever used. Samsung does it right. Samsung makes phone screens for most major manufacturers. I mean, the screen that's in the iPhone is a Samsung phone. And I think that this one is better. I think it looks better, even though you can get the higher, peak brightness whenever you have it on auto brightness. It's not even that meaningful of a difference. They both look great. They both have great visibility out under the sun, even in bright conditions. So, also, other things that make it worthwhile, you get the S Pen. And the cool thing with the S Pen is, of course, you can write, you can draw, you can do your notes and your memos, and you can edit things, and you can do your AR doodles, your live messages, and you can do your air gestures, and you can do your stuff where you can use this as a shutter, which is one thing that I really love. So I'm going to hold this up right here. We're going to press and hold the button. Bam, it pulls up the camera. Press the button once, boop, takes a picture. If you double press, it switches it around to the other camera. Then you can press it again. And then if you see, ta-da, I've got a 3-second timer on there for the selfies. So you can do all that. That's really cool. This makes for a really good, like all-in-one for somebody who likes to do vlogs. And I think that it has the best microphone pickups on it as well. Great microphone pickup, great sound experience. You get the remote shutter. And also you can use your earbuds, especially the Samsung earbuds. If you go into like the Pro Video mode, you can use them as a wireless lapel mic. So you could set this up in a tripod. You can set it up on like a selfie stick. You can set it up on a mount. Stand back, hit the button, start recording, take pictures, and you can do all sorts of your dances and your wiggles and your TikTok stuff. This phone, very, very versatile. And also one other thing, highly underrated because you don't get this with a lot of other phones. You can have it where you can switch back and forth between the video while you're recording. So if you're in the camera, right, and let's say we put it on video. Normally, if you want to switch from back to front video, you have to stop and start a new recording. So if you hit record, right? So we're recording. Oh, look, we switched it. We're still recording. That's great. That makes it really good because especially if you're somebody who likes to do your short form video, you like to do reviews, you like to do TikTok stuff, and you like to be able to do different camera stuff. You want to show something on the front, show something on the back. You don't want to have to do all a bunch of editing and splicing and stuff. There's so much versatility that Samsung has put thoughtfulness wise into this. And of course, there's been big upgrades in like the nightography stuff they've created, meaning enhanced night mode photography and video and things like that. So a lot to like here. I think that it's a great looking phone. I think it's premium build quality, IP68 dust and water resistance, Gorilla Glass Victus 2. But make sure you put a screen protector on it because it is very soft on the screen. Like you can get surface abrasions very, very easily. I had a bad run-in with that, even just briefly putting it in my pocket one day before I got my screen protector. So get a screen protector. This is the one I'm using. This is the AM Film HD Clear, and I've got a link in the description. Easy to install, works out great. I've had it on here for like a month now and no issues with it. I've been using this brand for quite a while. This is not sponsored. They're not paying me anything. Just letting you know they're very inexpensive. You can get a 2-pack and you can get it right on Amazon. Usually a lot of times you can get next day delivery. So link in the description for that if you're interested. A lot of people always ask, what screen protector am I using? That's what I'm using. And when it comes to cases, I've got 2 that I'm using. I've got this Spigen Cryo Armor, which it's supposed to help out with like thermals and stuff, but the phone never gets hot, right? Like never gets hot for me. If you do some extended gameplay, it'll warm up a little bit. So it's got like this graphite pad in here that helps wick away the heat, helps lower the temperature. It's got great ventilation. It looks good on the phone. I really like the way it looks on the phone. It's compatible whenever it comes to screen protectors. It works with wireless charging, and it's about 20 bucks. And I've got a link in the description for that as well. I'm also using the Samsung leather case. I love the Samsung leather cases. They're fantastic. They're very slim, very low profile. They feel premium, and I like the leather on them. So those are the 2 cases I like. There are a lot more, and there's a whole host of them. You can go get the Caseologies, the Spigens, you can get the Rinkis, you can get the Patakas, whatever. There's so many different cases you can get for this. One great thing about the Samsung phones, there's so many accessories for them, and as the phone goes along, they get cheaper and cheaper. There's deals, there's specials all the time. When you look at something like the OnePlus 11, hardly any actual cases out there for it. When you look at other phones like a Realme GT3, or if you look at like Huawei Mate 50 Pro, there's just not a whole lot of options out there. Samsung is probably the best supported across the board, especially when it comes to affordable cases. And they're not these cheap trash cases like you get from Apple. Their Apple silicone case is utter pants. I mean, the thing's peeling to death, and I've only had it for what, like 5 months now. So yes, Samsung, they've done a lot right here. There's a lot of third-party support. There's a lot of great software support here. 4 years of operating system updates, 5 years of security patches, which is basically the best you can get in the Android world. And they're kicking Google's butt whenever it comes to actual support and updates and optimization on stuff. They're coming out with updates all the time. One UI 5.1 is fantastic. And this is just like the encapsulation of so many good things that have happened with what Samsung's been working on for the last couple of years. So, yeah, not a whole lot of negative here. The real big negatives, of course, are the price. Again, $11.99 introductory price. And I know some people are still not happy. It doesn't have a headphone jack. It doesn't have an IR blaster. It doesn't have expandable SD card slot. Those things are gone, especially in the premium phone sector. I mean, unless you get a Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV, which I love that phone. And if people want it, if the people want it, I may go ahead and make a comparison video between them. I love the Xperia 1 Mark IV, probably my favorite phone of 2022, despite the overheating issues when it came to the video camera. Don't really use it for a lot for the video camera, but as far as the photos, as far as the hand-on, the manual controls, the alpha camera setup, the dedicated shutter, the 120 hertz refresh rate on the 4K screen, the thin form factor, the ability to pop the SD card in there and go headphone jack, use it for live stream. And there's just so many applications for the Sony phone. I'm really looking forward to the Xperia 1 Mark V. Like, I really hope, especially with the Snapdragon 8 Generation 2, that should make for a really wonderful phone. Anyway, a lot of talking about a Sony, but let me know if y'all want to see some more comparison stuff. I just made a video also. I've got the S23 putting my SIM card in that, switching to this for a few weeks to fully test that out and give you guys a good idea on what to go with that. And check out this color. This is the graphite color. I love this color. And I had to wait like a month from whenever I pre-ordered it to get it, but man, I like it a lot. So that's all I've got in this video. A month later, definitely I feel like it's worth it. I feel like it's the best Samsung experience I've had in a normal phone. Now, when I say normal phone, that's some context. That's a qualifier there because, well, we have the Fold 4, right? And a lot of people are like, well, I like the Fold 4 better. It's better than this. In some ways, yes. I mean, of course, the big landscape, open the phone up, have basically a tablet on the go. There's so much versatility there. So it's really hard to say and put them in the same category. It's a foldable versus a traditional phone. So that's why I say I think the S23 Ultra is the best regular phone they've ever made. I mean, it's a judgment call when you say better than the Fold 4 because, well, some people prefer the foldable, some people prefer the regular slab phones. So a lot of it comes down to personal preference. I really don't like to use the word better. I really don't, because better is very subjective. You know, what's better for you, what's better for me may not be better for you, right? So I like to look at it, I like to examine it from different points of view to try and analyze those kind of arguments, but to just abstractly say something's better, I don't really think so. But across the board, when we look at the historical past with what we get with the previous phones, especially the S22 Ultra, S21 Ultra, this has got a lot of meaningful changes in a good way that I absolutely love and I think are a great win for the consumer. So that's all I got in this video. If you have any questions or comments, please go down in the comment section. I'll get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, if you found this helpful, then please let me know. I'd love to know if it was helpful. But also hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you guys next time.